You should have a little red dot coming up there somewhere.
I did. I
We
saw
are
it.
recording. I would just take this moment to let you know, Christy, that I will send this recording to you 24 hours after our talk, give or take. Once I've done that, I will be deleting everything at this end because it's private, it's personal, it's yours, and I don't need it.
Okay.
So
Understood.
that's it. So when you've got that, that'll be the only copy. Just letting you
Okay.
know.
Perfect.
How can I help you today, Christy Mattoon?
Well, sir, I have seen your videos, I guess, on the one that caught my attention first was the one you did with Alex, I believe, the young man.
Oh, Alex Ferrari. I'm actually
Yeah.
speaking to him after I've finished with you.
Well, tell him I said hi.
Okay.
He won't know who I am. I would love to do an interview with him someday, but I do this kind of work and I do this kind of stuff with people. I teach heart coherence. I have a YouTube channel, blah, 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 blah. Um, but in all of this, right, the life story, right, the abuse as a child, like the whole thing, it's all of this stuff. And I heard you say in your video, I think it was in the one with him, that in 15 minutes you can get into somebody's, I want to say, to their spirit and help them see that. My question has been repeatedly, although all of the things you say, I feel like I can sense, I can see, I can be what I've seen my whole life. I hear things, people, you've been in the hospital for all the things they told you were crazy for, which you find my children too. One of my sons, oh my goodness, this poor child, what we did to him. Have I destroyed myself with all the work I've done trying to get back to myself? And I heard you say that in this video is, be careful you don't destroy the self, trying to. And I'm like, I wonder if that's what I did, because I've tried so hard and used so many other people's protocols that weren't from spirit, that was, junk everybody makes up their whatever. And by the time I finally recognized my spirit self and started really hearing, it's all inside you, and literally had what I would have called an angel years ago, but had a being show up to me one night and told me how to take thoughts from my brain, put them in my heart, let my heart process them, and then take it to the feeling, right? It was all feeling based. Take the feeling to your gut to get everything back into alignment so everything feels the same. So my thoughts match my heart feeling, match my gut feeling kind of idea. And ever since I started doing that, it's been quite amazing. But there's always something off. I can't heal my asthma. I've had asthma since I was born. People tell me all kinds of stuff. It's a sadness. It's a sadness from past life. It's this. It's like everybody has their answer to it. And I'm just like, I've heard that 1,000 times, but what you say doesn't make, I'm not sad anymore. Like there is no sadness. I have peace. My brother killed himself in 2018. I actually don't think he did. I think something else happened, but that's what they put on the report. But he came, like he didn't came. He was still there when I got there and gave me the greatest sense of peace. Like his death wasn't, and he looked at me and he goes, "You probably think I'm going to hell, don't you?" And we were having a conversation. I could see him. I was just like, oh my God. He goes, "Wait, feel this, just feel this." And he gave me the greatest sense of peace. I've never lost it. So the sadness, but the asthma remains, the autoimmune issues remains, and I'm just like, okay, body, because I am not this body, but I'm tired of this body. This
Oh.
body, right? And maybe that's normal. I don't know. So that's one of my questions is, I mean, am I actually in contact with my spirit? Can I really control this boat? Do I have
Who's asking the question, Christy?
probably my brain, probably my brain. That's funny. I never thought of it like that. Who's asking the question? Yeah, that's coming out of my brain.
And who's being aware of that question being asked?
Probably my brain is just sitting there spinning in circles with it. So if I bring it to awareness
No.
from my,
That's where you're going wrong.
okay,
Awareness, that's you. Let's
that's
backtrack to the
true.
day you were born. You may have heard this from me already. But When it comes to truth, there's not much to know. It's really easy.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what I was going to tell you.
That sounds like something I would do.
When you've heard me say this, when you're born, we're talking about reality, okay? We're talking about truth at the end of the day. So the day you're born, you are a pristine, clean, wonderful, state-of-the-art bunch of consciousness, absolutely full of enlightenment and joy, and unless you're hungry. You've had babies, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment well, let's say a couple of weeks after you're born, you've got people telling you that that's mum, that's dad, that's a cup, that's a dog, that's not good, that's bad, don't do that. People will hate you for that. People over there are just think stupid. This is wrong, that's bad. He's good, she sucks. By the time you're 5, 10 years old, you're full of other people's information, other people's beliefs, other people's opinions, other people's judgments is what Christy is made of, with the occasional piece of knowledge from actual experience in life. The majority, though, 90% of what's going around in there is other people's information, other people's crap, stuff that they wouldn't say to adults because the adults would tell them to get fucked. But they can put it into the kids because the kids don't know any better. And that becomes you. That's what's doing the looking right now. You take any one of those thoughts in there that make up Christy and break it in half and have a look in there. There is nothing in that thought.
Right.
It's a dead thing. It doesn't even know you're there looking at it. So you got this creature in there now that's grown, made up of other people's bullshit, and it's called Christy. Now, every human on the planet has one of those. And those things, those dead, unwise things, invented our education system, invented our law system, invented our society. You see where the shit comes from?
Yeah. I'm very aware of all of that stuff.
Excellent. Now, when you say I am very aware, who are you talking about?
Oh, myself. Oh, that was interesting. Yep.
It's about
Wow.
clarification, Christy,
Yeah.
knowing what's to be done and what the human condition is. And when you have the clarification, you can set about doing exactly what you want to do and what you need to do.
How do you get it so clear that you can stay there? This is like an ongoing, and I'm sure, I mean, everything I've heard you talk about, it's kind of the same idea as get rid of the thinking. And that's part of what we work on too. I mean, in the groups that I teach is always trying to just stop the thinking.
Can't do that.
Can't do that. Okay. What do we do instead? What do I do instead?
If you want to attain internal peace and you go in there and the first thing you see is these thoughts moving around, what the fuck is trying to stop those things going to do for you? You are something else watching those things. Why would you try and stop something that's not you?
Oh, wow.
It's not going to get you anywhere, is it? Except very tired. And isn't that one of your things?
Oh, no.
I know. Don't you worry. By the end of this session, you're going to know exactly what to do. Don't you worry.
Okay.
And you're not that far off. You're about 0.5 millimeter away from your objective. And I'm going to take you there after a little while if you want to. Yeah?
Yes, please. Yep, I'm in.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation because you have the capacity to understand what I'm saying.
Yes. I watched that thing with that young man Ferrari, Alex. I think I've watched it maybe 5 times.
Oh, wow.
Because every time you watch it, it's like a really good movie. You catch something else. And I swear, I was like, I did not hear you say that the first time. So I'd go back through and listen to that part again and be like, what on earth? So my practice for the last probably 3 weeks right now is not naming things. Time makes no sense to me anymore.
Ah,
I can't remember the dates. I can't remember what time it is. It's so bizarre. I'm just like, okay, this is crazy. I'll walk down the street trying to unlabel, and not even unlabel, just not label anything. And it just like all merges into one.
yes.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. But then I don't know if it's fear. I don't know, something in me goes and like kicks me back out of it. And I'm not
That's
able.
Christy.
Mm,
She's your worst enemy. She doesn't want to be, but
no.
you started the fight by trying to kill her.
Oh no. I'm sorry. That's hysterical.
What
Okay.
is Christy made up of? Thoughts.
Mm,
If you're going to try and stop your thoughts, what have you just said to Christy? I'm going to
trying to
fucking
kill
kill
her.
you.
Yeah.
What's Christy going
Yeah.
to do?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Wrong.
So is that the shadow that you talk about? I've heard you talk about the shadow that kind of covers everything. Is that, and people will say, you got to dive into the dark night of the soul to, and I'm like, I don't know if that's right
No,
either. I
that's
don't
crap. They
know.
don't know what they're talking about.
That's what I
90%
think.
of these people, they start off with a belief. They turn that belief, so after a while, they treat that belief like it's a theory. And after a little
Mm,
while more, they treat that theory like it was an actual experience. And at that point, they're fucked because they believe their own bullshit at that point. And then they'll put out a book and they'll put out a video and they'll rip people off. And it's horrible.
yeah, it's sad.
And it's not that
Interesting.
difficult, really. I mean,
It
look
shouldn't.
how much progress we've made in 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
That's how
Yeah,
easy it is.
just from sorting it out.
Clarity.
Clarity. I like that word. Okay, continue. I'll
One of
shut up.
my teachers, one of the best things he gave me was to say, the map is not the territory. Took me a while to figure that out. I'm going to help you by telling you what it means right now.
I'll receive that. I
A
like
lot of
that.
people, including explorers, will look at a map and study a map of a territory until they believe they know this territory. They cannot get lost. They know exactly what's going to happen now. And they believe that. Of course, the map doesn't have snakes crawling into your bloody tent at night. The map doesn't have spiders biting you. The map doesn't have mud and rain and mosquitoes. It doesn't have any of that crap. When you get down to the territory, you understand the map is not the territory. There was no misery in looking at the map. There's plenty of misery in the territory. And our thoughts are the map, and we believe our thoughts
Mm,
are the reality, and it is not. The best way to do that is think about burning yourself with a match, and then actually burn yourself with a match and compare the difference.
there is a difference. That's very true.
There's a big difference. Is when you're thinking about it, you're not feeling pain, you're not reeling back, you're not
Right.
experiencing anything other than your own thoughts, your own pictures. Actually burning yourself, that freaking hurts. And that's going to make
Yeah.
you pull away. That's a whole different thing. That's real. The other one was not. And we have replaced the real with the non real because it's easier. And this is why the world is the way it is. If you're looking for truth at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. That's what everyone is looking for. You can have all the
Right.
money in the world, all the lovers in the world, all the chocolate cake in the world, but if you don't know what it's all about, if you don't know why you're doing it, there's discontentment.
Right.
And if there's discontentment, you get in touch with people like me. Unfortunately.
Or fortunately, I don't
Or
know. I was,
fortunately, yes,
yeah.
yes. So
I
look,
always wonder. I always wonder why some people get the fortune of going through life and then finding the monks and finding you got to go and do all the things at such a young age that you did. And I'm sitting in a house with two parents that are more clueless even today than And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like how did this precipitate itself throughout the history of my family? And we had preachers and all kinds like teaching these hardcore Bible, beating
Mm.
them into our heads. And I'm just like, man, and none of them, you're either hardcore atheists where they think they don't believe in anything, but they talk about it differently. And then you have the ones that are still Bible bangers that just can't lay that you're going to hell stuff down. And I'm just like, oh my goodness.
And both come from the ego.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I walk towards people like you, it's because I actually see light finally.
Oh,
Oh, let me go that way. Walk to the light.
look, let me put you in the right direction here, my friend. If you want to buy a bottle of milk, you're not going to go to the library. That's where they keep books. If you want to buy a bottle of milk, you're going to go to the corner shop, obviously. If you want to find truth, you got to figure out where truth lives. So, truth, if it's going to be truth, has to be somewhere real, somewhere you can visit, somewhere you can look at truth and fool around with it and get to know it and figure it out and become one with it. So, where does truth live? What's the only reality in life, given that everything seems to be an illusion? Now, what's happening right now? Not just in your lounge room, but the whole universe is experiencing this now with us right now. It's now, whatever planet you go to, it's now. Anything either side of now is memory or assumption. See? So if you're thinking, you're in one of those. That's why you won't find truth, because it's here. It's in the now.
Right.
So I'll give you, for
Mm.
instance, why. Fear comes from the future. If I have a gun in your face, it's not the gun in your face you're scared of, it's what's coming next. That's the future. If you are in the moment and someone starts to pull a gun up, you'll be there before the gun comes out, and you'll be on a bus on your way home eating a sandwich because you're in the moment. This person's using thoughts. So reality lives in the moment. Fear comes from the future, and so does many other things, paranoia, etc., etc. The past, what comes from the past? Guilt, regret, and all sorts of horrible other things. So you get rid of those two things because they don't exist. That's all in your head. So truth isn't going to be there. The only truth in that scenario is people do this. That's the only truth in it.
Right. Right.
So now is where truth is. So what's the next thing we do? How long can I stay in the moment for? How long can I focus in the moment to be able to get my head around truth and be with it? Okay, there's your first practice. There's your first experiment. Count backwards from 10 to 1 and see how far you get before you wander off. Most people don't get past 5, and I'm not joking. Out of 8 billion people, 7.5 billion of them cannot count backwards from 10 to 1. They will go 10, 9, 8. Did I lock the front door? Start again.
Wow. Okay.
Ah, so if you can count from 10 to 1, if you start to wander off at about 5, you have just learned that you can be in the moment for 5 seconds.
Gotcha. I
So,
actually think I can be in the moment for 10 seconds. I have gone periods of time without what I would call conscious thought, just an empty head, observing the empty head and thinking something was wrong with me because I couldn't think of anything.
no, it's got nothing to do with you at all. It's just you've been wrong training is all.
Mm,
We're going to fix all of that very shortly, don't you worry.
okay.
So, where are we at? Focus. So if you can count backwards from 10 to 1, you can do it for 10 seconds. I can tell you right now, you need 1 minute. So you go from that to 2 times now, 20, from 20 down to 1, and then you go to 30. If you can count backwards from 30 to 1 without wandering off, you have better focus than most people on the planet. I shit you not.
Is the counting thinking, or that doesn't count?
Yeah, but
Just
that it's temporary.
okay,
It's just
okay.
giving you you're using a tool. You're using your worst friggin' enemy as a useful tool.
Tool. Okay, I like that. Okay.
You can fill a bath up with bath water and you can drown your baby in it, or you can bath the baby in it. That has nothing to do with the bath water. The bath water is the tool.
Mm,
The intent is what did the killing or the cleaning. And it's the
yes.
same with your thoughts. You can use them for what they were designed for, or you can let them take over you and do the wrong thing. So let's get back to the focus. If you can hold that for 30 seconds, you're doing better than most in the world. If you can do it for 1 minute, this is what will happen. If you go inwards and you start to try and stop the things that you're seeing moving around, you will die a very confused and scared woman. If
Mm,
you go in there and you sit wonderfully, peacefully in the center, and you just allow your thoughts to move and shapes and colors and things and all the shit that goes on, and you just sit there and be in the middle of all of that, like the eye of a storm. The eye of a storm, destruction is going on all around you, but
yeah.
right there in the middle, no movement of air, warm, silent, plenty of sunlight, absolute safe actually from the outside world,
Right.
untouchable. The eye of a storm is untouchable. Why? Because there's a storm raging around it, and that is what's protecting the spirit. Now, if you
Mm,
go in there and if you actually get to the point where you can stop your thought process, Christy becomes useless because she won't know how to deal with people anymore. The trick is
there's some truth in there.
it's called returning to the marketplace. If you, and many people have done this wrongly, you go in and you eventually stop your thoughts, you attain an enlightened realization, and then you suddenly realize that you can't relate to people anymore. You can't speak their language anymore because most of the words are bullshit. And if you're going to talk to people, you constantly feel like you're lying. So you just piss off and go and disappear into the mountains and never be seen again. You'll be happy for the rest of your life and more lifetimes to come, but you won't be doing anything for the world or other people.
Right.
Physically, spiritually, you are making a contribution just by being enlightened. So
Mm,
the trick is to be in there and watch Christy working with the world. Watch Christy talking. Watch how she feels, how she thinks, what she feels, what she thinks, and just watch it. And you will see where all the problems came from. You will see where the misery was coming from, and you'll stop it. So what you'll do is you'll see Christy thinking the wrong things, and you'll just inject wisdom from that into Christy. And suddenly, Christy's everyday normal words will start to have a smell of spirituality in there, and people will
mhm.
feel that. They will smell it. If you're talking shit, people can smell it.
Very true.
So the trick is to sit back and allow Christy to work in the world of people because Christy is designed, is made of matter and is designed by matter. Spirit is from another dimension. Spirit is where all the knowing and consciousness is. You can't think of something you don't know. You have to know it before you can think it. You've heard me say that before.
Right.
If I ask you to think of a motor car, if you don't know what a motor car is, you can't think it, which means you can't turn it into a picture. So that shows you that everything you think, you already know before you think it. So why bother going into the thought process? Why bother turning it into a thought and allowing your ego to take the credit for it,
Right.
which is what it will do. It's a thief. The monkey in us is a thief. It will
Mm,
take credit for everything, including spiritual practices. So over thousands and thousands of years, millions upon millions of male, female, even children, mystics have looked at this conundrum, how a beautiful, pristine, clean spirit is born in this baby, and then this beautiful, pristine, clean, enlightened mind has all these thoughts thrown in there until these thoughts overtake. Now the thoughts become the dominating factor, and this awareness most people don't even know is there. And this is you. That's you that was born, not this thing. This was put in there by other people.
Right.
So the trick is to re-engineer that, reverse engineer that, and get it to about here somewhere.
Yes.
So over thousands and thousands of years, millions and millions of mystics, male and female and otherwise, has looked at how to reverse that conundrum, how to reverse engineer that situation. And they've come up with methods and practices, and they've whittled them down over thousands of years and honed them and tweaked them and refined them and honed them a little bit more and refined it even more. And today there is a small handful of practices that are thousands of years old, not based on belief, based on methodology, and it works. There's only 4 or 5 of them, and you just need to know what they are. And that's done. And that's what I teach. That's what I show people.
Wonderful.
The clarity of truth. Where does truth live? Lives here and now. So what's the first exercise? Stay in the now as
Stay
long as you
here.
can. Isn't
Right.
that easy?
Well, yes, easier said than done,
Well,
but
to
yes,
understand, I mean.
yes, the
Yeah,
practice of doing it is definitely easy.
absolutely.
Do
So
it
now
today.
there's many ways of doing that. How long can you explore a pen with your finger and your thumb before you start thinking about it? How many steps
Oh,
can you take on the beach before you start thinking about it? There's a wonderful practice in Japan called Shinto, which I'm sure you've heard of. And a Shinto monk will set off to go to the shop, which is only half a kilometer away, but it will take all afternoon, because what he will do is he will ring the bell and listen until he can't hear the bell anymore. As soon as the bell sound is out of perception's reach, he will then be aware of his hip flexor starting to lift up his thigh. And then he will feel his thigh muscles contract and lift up the lower leg. Then he will feel the hip flexor releasing, and then he will feel his heel come down on the floor, and then his foot, and then his toes, and then he'll ring the bell, wait for the end of the sound, and then he'll pick his other foot up. And that's how
wow.
he gets to the shop. And he's been in the moment for half a day when he can do that.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. These are the kind of people that float across water and things like that because of the
Right.
focus. So there are many, many, many ways. You can come up with your own ways. If you enjoy washing, it doesn't matter whether you enjoy something or not. If you're washing the dishes, feel the dishes, because that's happening now. Hear the squeak of your finger on the dishes. You'll see your brain throw up the fact that the little ridges on your fingerprints is moving along the plate, and you'll see why it's making the noise that it makes, and you'll have an epiphany, but don't think. So you'll feel the plate, you'll feel the warmth of the water, you'll see the rainbow colors in the bubbles. And if you're doing this, if you are fascinated with this process of washing these dishes, listening to the clinks and the clunks and how different the clinks underwater are to the clinks on top of the water. And by the time you finish your dishes, you've been in the moment, you've been in actual truth for however long it took you to do the dishes.
I've actually done that with food. So I'm a classically trained chef. Um, in part of my life, I did that. And I work with my husband periodically at the club that he still works at. He's the executive chef. So I'll go up there and just prep. And I got so in tune one day, they were having me make cupcakes. And I'm just against feeding people bad food like cupcakes and the sugar and because at one point I was 300 pounds. And then so living through that and working my way back out of it, I became very standoffish to that type of food. But I was making cupcakes because they needed them. And so I'm standing there blessing every cupcake. Every time I put a drop of vanilla in, I'd watch the drop fall into the frosting and then dissipate, and just stirring it. Somebody actually walked up to me afterwards because the cupcakes, I dyed them all yellow for some reason. All the frosting was yellow and orange. It was shades of that kind of thing. And every time I would frost a cupcake, I was visualizing the sunshine. So I was playing with seeing the sun inside the cupcake to hopefully provide some kind of healing to anybody who ate this stuff. And people actually walked up to me and said they tasted like sunshine.
Oh, there you go.
And I was like, whoa, that was, but I never related it to what you're talking about right now. It was just being so present with what I was doing that
There you
it all,
go. See, if you had clarity, you would understand that you've actually been doing the right thing for a long time. But you just didn't know.
yeah,
And
for lack
therefore,
of
it's not going to
clarity.
have the effect. It's a very Hare Krishna thing to do, the whole cooking thing.
Mm,
If you're in a bad mood, or if you're having your periods or anything of that nature, they won't let you in the kitchen because it goes into
yeah,
food. And it's true. It's true.
it is true. It is
So
very
what you're
true.
doing is extremely spiritual cooking. It's well done, by the way.
Well, thank you. I received that.
How are we going for time? Let's do these exercises.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Yes, please.
I'd like
Please
to give
do.
you two.
Okay.
Out of Manuka honey and ghee, what would you be most drawn to as a all over tonic, healing tonic? What would you prefer?
Well, I have ghee. I can get Manuka honey. I love honey. Either one. Can we mix them?
No, you missed the question.
I did this. Go
This went
ahead.
off
I like
somewhere else
thinking about
completely.
food.
As a
Let's go with,
healing, if you had only had two choices to give someone to make them feel better and to help them heal, which would you give them, the ghee or the honey?
the honey.
Excellent. Honey is what we're going to use. This is going to take 5 minutes, but when you do this yourself, try and take 20 to half an hour. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yep.
Keep in mind that visualization is telling your brain what you want it to do.
Yes.
You understand that, don't you?
Yes.
If your thoughts aren't where you want them to be, you need to contemplate. If you want to talk to your brain and tell it to create a placebo miracle, you have to use visualization. That's its language.
Okay.
If you want to reach enlightenment, you have to meditate. They're all very different things with very different outcomes. So, what we're going to do here is tell your brain to do something. Bear with me and trust me, please, and you'll know exactly what we're doing within the first minute.
Okay.
Relax your body. Take a nice, easy, deep breath. And as you let your breath out, make sure your eyes are closed and relax. Take one more deep breath. And as you let this breath out, let every muscle in your body and every internal organ just drop. Just let go. Let go of your guts. Let go of your heart. Just let go and relax. Wonderful. Now, when you first close your eyes, you're going to see blackness because your physical eyes are still trying to see. Now, in that blackness, you're going to see movement. Everyone does. Like looking at a bowl of black ink. Even though it's all black, you can still see movement in there. You will see that. But that's not you. That's irrelevant. Don't worry about that. Somewhere in the background, in that darkness, you're going to hear Christy chattering away, thinking, talking, asking questions about what you're doing, trying to interrupt you. Don't worry, just let that go. That's not you. So trying to still that's irrelevant. Other people in that darkness will see shapes and colors coming and going in and out of the darkness. Your body might ache here and there, But none of these things are you, so why would you bother focusing on any of that? Allow that to be. That's the storm raging around. What you will notice is your focus is trying to dart from the moving blackness to the chattering, to the voices of Christy chattering away. And it's going to want to dart from that to the shapes, and from the shapes to the colors. And it's that focus. Whatever you are at that moment, that pristine, clean, beautiful spot of awareness sitting in the middle of all of that is where you need to be. And that is what you have to practice stilling. And that is how you become the eye of the storm. The aim is to sit there in that darkness, like sitting back in your favorite reclining chair, and don't move. Allow the blackness to move as much as it likes, but don't focus on it. Allow the chattering to go on in the background. That's got nothing to do with you, so don't focus on it. The shapes, the colors, everything you are aware of has nothing to do with you. You are something in there being aware of all of that. The thing to need to know while you're in that position, when you're in that position, and the chattering is going on and Christy's moving around in there in the darkness and all the rest of it. Who are you right now? Don't think about it. That's a trap. Now, sometimes I'll get someone to this point and they'll start to feel after a while that they're just melting away into the oneness of all things and dissipating and evaporating and experiencing oneness, and it's a wonderful feeling, but it's also a trap. Don't focus on that either. That will pull you up. Allow the feelings to be there and enjoy them, but don't move your focus. Be dead still. And you only need to hold that focus for 1 minute. And if you can do that, enlightenment will hit you like a truck, and you will never ever go back to the old Christy. You will have reached enlightenment. And this is why I said before, you only need to be able to hold it for 1 minute. So I'm going to shut up in a second, and I'm going to leave you there for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then I'll bring you back. But while you're in there for that 20 or 30 seconds, try and just relax and sit back and don't move. And just allow all the movement around you to do whatever it's doing, but do not shift your focus from one to the other. And in this, you will realize where you've been going wrong. So I'll bring you back in about 20 seconds or so. Don't you count. Okay, Christy, very slowly take a breath, and very slowly just open your eyes, of course. If you're not doing that, you're not meditating. That's what meditation is. Anything else is contemplation or visualization.
Mm-hmm.
All of when you hear Christy back there chattering away, that's where all your fears and beliefs and bullshits reside. It's got nothing to do with you. You are that thing, whatever that is, that's in there watching all of that stuff going on. And that part of you, that real you, that eye of the storm is not touchable. It's invisible. It's not made of matter. That's the you that was born in that baby. That's the you that is immortal. Now, if you can train yourself and practice to be in that state all the time, When it comes time to die, you won't faint. Most people faint at death, and that's the problem. It's fear. It's the same reason you pull back when you reach the emptiness, because it's a kind of a death. So most people faint and they miss the death. Once you've trained yourself to remain in this centered position, all of the thoughts of fear and death and beliefs, that's not there. So you don't faint. You watch the death process. You watch Christy closing down, shutting down. You see the brain shut down. You'll see the kidneys and everything just shut down. And then there'll be darkness for what will feel to you like about 15 minutes, but it will actually have been 40 weeks, which is a pregnancy term.
Mm.
And then you'll see a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, what you're going to see when you go into that light is your new mum and the doctor and a nurse, probably. It ain't going to be St. Peter or God. It's your next incarnation. And the light is the birthing room. That's what you're seeing. And when you pop out, you'll remember everything. You remember the death. Like I said, it'll seem like 15 minutes to you, but it's actually been a good 40 weeks. So you'll see your death. It'll be timeless. You come into your new baby. You'll remember your previous life. You'll remember the death. You'll remember the birth, but you still got to get used to this new car that you've just been given. It's like jumping out of an old Jeep and jumping into a Tesla. You got to learn how to use the bloody thing. So you're in this baby, you have memories, you know everything, but you still can't use the vocal cords or anything like that yet. But then when you get to 4, 5, or 6 years old, you'll start to tell your parents that you're having memories of flying aeroplanes, or you're having memories that are adult memories. And they'll take you to the doctor, and that's when you have your first realization as a new baby. Keep your fucking mouth shut.
That'll be that'll be the one to take into the next lifetime. Is
That's the
just
one, yes.
keep it quiet.
And you will remember this. So
I
that's
I
it. You go.
I want to say I have like just doing that. It's like I remember doing that. I remember, but as a child, whatever I knew got slapped out of us so hard, so fast
Yeah,
that. But I mean, just sitting there for that few seconds, like it was like, oh, this is here I am. It was like relief.
that's
I
you.
just, yeah, yeah,
Isn't that wonderful? Wunderbar. That was an extreme. That was an extremely short version. Of course, the longer you can do that, the better. And
yeah,
eventually, that awareness that is immortal holds all of that knowing that your ego likes to turn into thoughts. And that's why you start to go with the knowing instead of the thinking. While ever you are just living from your knowing, your ego isn't involved.
right.
And you do it all the time. Do you love your husband?
Yes.
How do you know? Okay, let's go to your mum. Do you love your mother?
Well, that she was a narcissist. She was tough.
Let's keep
I,
going. Do you love your kids?
yes. This is bad. My daughter hasn't talked to us in over 7 years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's been this cycle has been a very strange. Whenever I came in, I wanted to get slapped hard and fast so I could wake up and figure it out for good, is what I keep thinking, because everybody in my life has just put the pin to me. And I'm like,
Mm.
and my son, I love my son. I love my daughter too. I love all of them.
Let's get back to the point, Chrissy, before you go
Okay,
back
thank
into
you.
that.
Yes,
There you go. Wandered off there a little. Let's stay back here.
a lot,
You
a
just
lot.
went way into the past.
Back into the story. Holy cow! All right. Hi, yi, yi.
So now you're starting to see.
Man,
How do you know you love your daughter?
you just do.
There you
You
go.
just do.
And you know everything like that in the same way. You just don't realize it until you turn it into thought. Why? Because you're in the habit of waiting for the thought before you accept that you know something. Whereas the reality is you can't think of something you don't know. So you already know everything. And that awareness that you are in there is the same awareness that's in all things. Not the same as, it's the same one. And that awareness has been in everything and anything that has ever lived in the universe since day one of life, whenever that might have been. And it has retained all of its experiences of all of those forms that it has ever been in, worms and elephants and whales and people and aliens and things that you can't possibly imagine. It's in them. And you have access to all of that knowledge and information, and you will know it without having to think it, in the same way you know when you love someone.
I have had this experience many times.
Excellent. Well, you need to have that continually.
Continually.
But we've already found the problem there. It's your ability to be in the moment. You just gave a really good demonstration just then, actually, all the way back. You could hear the screech marks on the wheels.
That's my middle name is why.
All right.
Oh,
That
shoot.
that was extraordinarily important. Okay. You have to do that meditation and it will fix you, and you will succeed on the spiritual journey. There's no two ways about it. You have the passion, you have the capacity, and you have the need. Okay, so that's going to work. If you're not doing what we just did, you're not meditating. And you can see what I mean. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
This other one I want to give you because, and this is the honey thing now.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because when I first went in and you started talking, I'm like, where's the honey? Looking in the darkness, going, is the honey going to show up?
Well, what I just gave you is for your journey into spirit. What I'm
Yes.
about to give you is to bring the physical, the matter, back into health and wealth and all the rest of that.
Mm.
So, the Manuka honey, are you ready?
Yes.
Same thing. Sit back, relax, close your eyes. Wunderbar. Now, imagine a ball of honey, Manuka honey, about the size of a baseball, sitting on top of your head, glistening. See it with your whole mind, glistening, glowing, golden, healing, wonderful, the most incredible stuff you can get, just sitting there on top of your head. And as you sit there, the heat from your body is melting that ball of honey, and it is melting into your head. And you now need to feel it with your whole mind, seeping through the skin around your skull, also through the bone and saturating the bone, through the brain, down the back of the head, the sides, through your eyes and your nose and your cheeks, down the back of your throat. And eventually you need to be visualizing this so strongly and feeling it so strongly that when it does get to your throat, you will taste the honey and smell it, and allow that warm honey to start moving down through your neck and across your shoulders and down your back, internally and externally, all the way through your entire body, down your arms, your biceps and triceps, and the bone, of course, and down through your forearms. And as this wonderful, cleansing, incredible golden honey is moving down towards your fingers, through your hands, you can feel any negativity that shouldn't be in your body coming out of your fingertips, being pushed out and replaced by this incredibly healing, wonderful stuff. And back to the body as it moves down past your breasts and through your heart and through your torso, melting through every organ, every tissue, into your blood. You could almost feel yourself becoming brighter and wiser and healthier and more vital as this honey is doing its job, all the way down to your pelvic area. and through your pelvic area, through all of your organs, your belly, your genitals, your bum, your buttocks. And feel that warmth as it just oozes and makes its way into your thighs. And your ball of honey should be about a third of the original size by now. And let it all melt down through the bones of your thighs, the muscles. Let it whisk around your knees for a few seconds and really sink into your knee joints and start to fix everything that's in there that maybe should not be. And down, of course, through your calves and your shins, through your ankles and into your feet. And as that beautiful, lovely honey starts to make its way to your toes, just feel it pushing any residuals that shouldn't be there out through the end of your toes. And as soon as that happens, as soon as it's all been pushed out and comes to an end, at the very same moment, the ball of honey should disappear into the top of your head. And now this was an extremely fast version of how to do this. But you should do this slowly, intensely, and take as long as you like, really. And you can do this as many times a day as you like. I have seen this particular practice get rid of everything from tropical ulcers to small brain tumors and everything in between. So when you're ready, Christy, just take a nice breath and just open your eyes and come back to the room for us. Slowly.
That was tasty.
Wunderbar. Fantastisch.
Ooh.
Go slow. Do not underestimate the power of what you just did. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bring.
That's my computer telling me my battery wants to run out. There we go. Ooh.
Comments?
My whole body's tingly.
Excellent. Then it's working. If you've got that tingly right now, I can guarantee that whatever your ailment, this is going to work because it's already having an effect on you. That's the best demonstration of its ability. Can you understand how that works and why that works?
Do you know, years ago, I watched a thing with some guys in the Amazon forest who were hunting for herbs so they could go heal people with cancer with their herbs. It was I don't know how I saw this, but years ago. And the guy who was filming it's like walking behind, filming everything. And he finally stopped one of the guys that was looking for herbs. And he goes, "I'm watching what you're doing. I see you stop and close your eyes and you're whispering." He goes, "I don't know what you're saying, but I'm watching what you're doing." And then you open your eyes and you walk straight and you pick up something and there's the thing you were looking for every time.
Yeah.
And he goes, "What are you doing? How are you doing that?" And he goes, "It has the vibration. I'm just calling to the vibration." And I was just
You do it every second.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my first big, oh, you can do that?
Mm.
And I think with the Manuka honey, just calling that into your system.
Plus, you are also creating a placebo miracle in yourself as well by giving your brain the information. Once you learn to do that, you'll be able to remotely heal other people as well. Yeah. Do not underestimate the power of the two things you have learned today, really. They're going to do everything that you need. Anything after this would be sorcery.
Where's the line? How do you know you've stepped over? Is there, I mean, you're calling it sorcery. I know there's a place where. because now my brain's getting.
Sorcery, if you're using pictures and smells and thoughts and vibrations and words to create magic, that's sorcery. If you are creating change in conformity with your will from love,
Mm,
that's spirit.
spirit. Okay, I understand.
If you're watching your thoughts, you are spirit. If you are thinking, you're the monkey.
Okay, no more monkey.
Unfortunately, it was the monkey that said that.
Probably was. Oh
One of the
no.
things you'll notice when you're in there watching everything, sitting in the middle of it all, you'll realize that you don't actually have a mouth. You have to use Christy's mouth. You don't have ears. You rely on Christy to send you sounds. Um, so you need Christy, and you need Christy to love you. Look at it this way.
Mm.
If you got yourself a wild horse, in Australia they're called brumbies, the kind of horse that will just bite your finger off or kick you in the head if you're surprised at wild horse. It's not going to let you sit on its back. It's going to hate you, etc., etc., etc. But eventually, if you love it and you care for it and you look after it, and its life is becoming exponentially better every day because of the way you treat it, it's going to realize that you are a much better entity to have as a dominating factor in its life, and it will start to love you and work with you. And eventually, you could train it to be an equestrian horse and become a
Mm.
world class equestrian horse. With the slightest move of your knee, your horse will go that way. With the slightest pressure, it will go that way. With the slightest innuendo or whatever you say to your horse, it will jump a fence for you. And you will love it and it will love you. And together you will work as one and you will become a champion of the world. Both of you. That's how you have to treat this.
Wow. Okay, I understand.
If you were a Christian mystic, it would be more akin to giving yourself over and allowing Jesus to live through you.
I've tried that.
Yeah, but it's based on a belief system, so that's not going to work for you.
It,
This is what Christian mystics would do, and most of
right.
that is wrong, unfortunately. Not Jesus. I have a student in Sri Lanka who's actually a bishop, a Catholic bishop, and he's been a student of mine for nearly 3 years. And the reason is he's trying to show his flock that Jesus was a mystic. And
Oh
Jesus wants
boy.
you to know how you can heal yourself. Don't follow me, be like me and heal
Right.
yourself. And this is what he's trying to bring. So he's learning all of these things that I can teach, and he's taking it to his flock and he's showing them that they can do it. And I don't know why I brought that up. It had something to do with what you and I are speaking about now.
No, it totally did, and I understand why you brought it up because the teachings that I had for years were to let Jesus do it, and that's where I went. Was I don't think that's the way it was supposed to work. It's supposed to you're supposed to do it. Jesus ain't supposed to do it. He's not going to save you. You have to do it yourself. But you get slapped super hard in a Christian church if you say that too loud.
Mm.
So I've been sent out of a few of them going, I can't get into your.
Look, Christy, remember when we were talking about how this dead thing called an ego,
Mhm.
that invented religion as well.
Yes.
So when you start comparing these things to mysticism, you're comparing apples with oranges, really. They're two.
Can you define mysticism for me?
Mysticism comes from the word mystical.
Hmm.
Mystical comes from the word mystery. A mystery is something we don't understand. A mystic, and we don't understand the things we don't understand. We don't understand because they're invisible. We don't know where it comes from or how it happens, like willpower and thinking and love and all these invisible things that make up us being alive. So they were mysteries. And someone who dedicates their life to uncovering the truth of mysteries used to be called a
Mm.
mystic.
Gotcha.
Today, they're called scientists. The only difference is a mystic always has the element of consciousness and love in everything that they do as an experiment.
Mm,
Scientist does not. A
no.
scientist won't put self into it. And yet, every scientist in the world knows that double slit experiment. If you look at an electron, it becomes solid. When you look away from the electron, it becomes a waveform. So it can only remain manifest while someone's looking at it. So the question is, how do they know you're looking at them? These electrons, they're obviously aware. There's some awareness in there, or they wouldn't know you were looking at them. So when you look at them, they go, eek. And that's every atom in the universe has that. And the whole universe is made of atoms, including you and I. So now the question is, when you're standing out in the middle of the desert with not another living creature in sight, what's keeping you solid, in solid form? Something has to be looking at you to keep you in solid form. What is that?
So that's your inner self, yourself looking. Oh, wow.
Ta-da! And the environment.
Right. So that keeps everything functioning in this, what I call this plane of resistance,
Yes.
this place we're in.
Mm.
Wow.
Ah.
So all the people that are trying to get out of the matrix, you're actually creating the matrix just by
Yes.
that's so is there a getting out of the matrix? Is there an
Yes,
ascension
you just did it 10
that
minutes
then that
ago.
was it when you go and you're only
Yeah.
okay.
The more you do it, the more aware you will become, and the more aware you become, the broader your capacity will be. How are we going for time? Oh, shit. I've got to hurry up here. How are we going? All
Uh-oh.
right. 5 more minutes.
Okay.
I need to tell you this. And I fucking forgot it. Sorry. What was the last thing we
About
were talking about?
the matrix and how you have to be inside or you have to be yourself to
Yes. When you sit in that wonderful, beautiful, centered self, you will see the matrix. You will see your thought processes turning everything into numbers and shapes and squiggles. This is what a written language is all about. How can I put this? What I'm trying to do right now, I'm going to stop because what I'm trying to do right now is explain something to you that is truth, absolute truth, by using thoughts. And you can't approach absolute truth with thoughts. It's not a possibility.
mm,
Look, I'm going to leave it there. The Manuka honey thing is going to transform you physically like you wouldn't believe. And it's going to be quick. The more
okay,
you do it, the quicker, etc.
okay.
The meditation that I've shown you, that's it. That's meditation. There isn't anything else. That's meditation. And just by doing that, the more you do that, the stronger it will become. And the stronger it will become, the more dominant it will become. And when I say it, that's because Christy is the name of the ego. Whatever you are in there doesn't actually have a name. I'll give you
Mm.
another factor of truth, and you may have seen this already with me. Do you have a window there? Yes, you do. Oh, you have a plant.
I have all kinds of plants. My plants are look at my aloe.
Oh, I've got one of those exactly like that right next to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find there's like three of them in here, but I can't seem to get it on all of them. Oh, it's behind this light.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why.
there it is. Wow,
Yeah.
beautiful. I've got aloe veras in here. I love them. I call them Vera for some strange reason. Anyway, off track again. Christy. Now, look out the window, please. And you
Yes.
see a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you ask yourself, and I'm saying ask Christy this because she is yourself in the same way This is my car. This is my house. This is myself. I own these things. That's how you have to look at Christy from now on. So you look at the tree. You ask yourself, to all of the life in the rest of the universe, what is that thing I'm looking at called? Now I'm going to save you some time. It doesn't have a name. Nothing does. It is void. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Everything is void. Nothing has a name. Nothing has a label. And by our ridiculous, incessant need to put labels on everything, we create delusions and illusions at an exponential rate. If you call that a tree and you call that a house, now it takes time to get from the tree to the house. Fucked up. If you don't give these any labels, there's just this one big universal entity moving, searching for its meaning. And it's all here now. There's no time. But you don't need me to tell you that. You will see it for yourself.
Mhm.
The void is everything in front of you. You will have heard the word void being used in books. The void isn't emptiness. The void isn't nothing. The void is everything you can see in front of you, including that tree. But outside of here, none of it has a name. None of it has meaning. It is the skin of life. This is how life sees itself.
Ah,
And that's why you've got
wow.
this is why you got this thing going on in there. Anyway, I have to go. My God,
You need to go. You need to
mio
go.
Dio.
I bless you. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Did we make any progress?
You made, yeah, you, I made a ton of progress.
Oh, wonderful! I'm happy.
I am, I am already not the same. Yeah,
You've made my day, Miss Christie.
likewise. Thank you so much.
I will send you this in the next 24 hours or so.
All right. I will, I will look for it. I
Wonderful.
hope to see you again someday.
I hope so. I love you. I really
I love
do.
you
I
also.
think you're
Thank
doing a
you.
wonderful job with life, and you cannot fail. Believe you me. I've seen
Thank you.
I've seen thousands of people on this path, and I know who's going to make it. I know who the squealers are and who aren't.
You're incredible. You're incredible. I'm enriched just being in your presence. I'm blown away right now. I
Oh,
My insides don't hurt anymore. They've stopped quaking. My insides always quake, and there's no quaking right now.
oh, that's what it works. There you go.
There you go. Bless you. I don't want to hold you too long. I know you have other things to do.
I will see you. I will see you. I will see you. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
My